Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be doing something not typical on this channel, but I'm hoping it'll become a more regular feature. We're going to take a look at a scene from Band of Brothers, and I'm going to just kind of break it down, maybe offer some additional insight, give you some background into what really happened. Most of the scenes in Band of Brothers are fairly accurate, but because of the fact that it's a TV show, sometimes timelines are condensed, sometimes stories are condensed because there's only so many characters. When you're dealing with hundreds of guys who served in these units, sometimes you can't tell everybody's stories, and so sometimes you have one person doing something when in fact it was another. And so I thought it would be interesting just to give some additional insight and some real history behind these things. And so today we're going to take a look at the battle at the Crossroads, which happens outside of Heteren in the Netherlands. And it's one of the more famous scenes in Band of Brothers. And just to kind of set the stage as far as what happened here and what has led up to the scene that we're about to see, there's a patrol that goes out. By this point, they're about a month or so into what was Operation Market Garden. Market Garden failed, but the men of the 101st Airborne remain in the Netherlands. And they're basically holding an area that's called the Island because it's surrounded by water. And that real famous picture that you see of Dick Winters in front of the Schoenderlocht farm with the arch in the background, that is where his headquarters was during all of this. And so this patrol goes out, and the guys they show in the patrol in Band of Brothers are not the same guys who were actually on that patrol. But again, it's about timelines and stories condensing, things like that. So they go out and they take a couple of squads out, and they engage this machine gun the night before. You see all that in Band of Brothers. Dukeman is killed. He ends up being the only guy killed in this battle. There was a rifle grenade that was fired right from where the dike is that you're going to see here in just a minute. It was fired over toward where Dukeman was. He was trying to organize his men and get them to spread out. Rifle grenade hits nearby. A piece of shrapnel goes right through his heart. And they said that he just went, ooh, and he just kind of fell over, and that was all he ever said. And at the end of this video, I'll give you a link to my visit to the Crossroads because I actually was, along with a bunch of other people, I was with Mark Lawrence, who's a wonderful human being, by the way, a great guy, and I consider him a friend. Mark, that was the first time he had ever visited the site where Dukeman was killed, and we were with him when that happened. And with his permission, I uploaded that video, so you can see that at the end. But so by the next morning, they've called up reinforcements, and Winters has decided, he's the company commander, that they're going to have to move forward and attack because they're in a position they can't really stay in, they can't retreat, they can't wait, so they decide to attack, but they have no idea that they're actually facing two companies of Germans ahead. So you see they're all fixing bayonets, they're going to charge forward, and there's a scene I want to show you here in just a second. I think it's in this part here, we'll see it. So Winters is going to throw smoke. And one of the things they show in here is he throws the smoke and starts running, and everybody else waits. It's not exactly how it happened. He actually was just that much faster than everybody else. Everybody took off at the same time in real life, but he covered the ground so much faster that he got... Okay, so this is the part I wanted to show you. So Matt Leach, who's a friend, you see him here, he portrays Talbert. Now, Talbert died 20 years before they made Band of Brothers. So Matt never got to meet Floyd Talbert. But he was talking to other people, including members of Talbert's family, and they said that one of the things that Talbert would do when he was nervous or under stress is that he would play with his lip like that. And so Matt included that in this scene where you see that happening. That's exactly something Talbert would have done. I've actually made this run. It's actually a lot farther than what it looks like on here. But if you visit the site of the Crossroads, so you have Peacock telling them to wait. That didn't really happen. But if you visit the site of the Crossroads, it looks identical to this. Exactly the same. Now you'll see here that they all look like they're shouting, but you don't hear any sound. That's because when they recorded it, they recorded themselves yelling, but they actually didn't do that in real life. So they edited that out later on. But yeah, this is exactly what it looks like. And the actors we were with there, we were with the guy who played Talbert, the guy who played Dukeman. We were with the guys who played Alton Moore and Pencala. But they said it looked the set that they constructed looked identical to this, and when, like I said, when you visit, it looks the same. So Winters gets up to the top of the dike, and in real life, he grabs a grenade and throws it at this German that he sees here in this scene. And the German throws a potato masher grenade back at him, and he ducks down. But what happened was Winters, as a matter of safety, would wrap tape around his grenades so if he he didn't want to get the pin caught on something and the pin gets pulled out and he dies. So he taped the grenades, but he forgot to remove the tape off the grenade. And so when he threw it, nothing happened. And when the German threw his grenade, nothing happened. So he shoots that German, just as you see. And I believe he said he unloaded 2 full clips before the rest of the guys caught up. And it's amazing that he never got hit. And they do kind of show it that way. He unloads 2 full clips before the rest of them get there. Now, when they ran across that, it's important to note the Germans were caught by surprise. In other words, they knew that there were Americans over there. So what happened was they actually had like these 3 lanes that they were running in, because they had 2 machine guns that were firing across this dike. And so the Germans on the other side of the dike were actually ducking down to stay below the machine gun fire that was going over their heads. There were 2 machine guns. And so then to the left, center, and right with those machine guns, if you can kind of imagine those 2 lanes, and then outside the machine guns and in between the machine guns are the 3 lanes that the guys ran through. So the Germans were just ducking down to avoid the machine gun fire and didn't expect that all these Americans were going to show up on the other side.
Holy shit! It's a whole other company! Oh shit!
So, like a lot of things in Band of Brothers, for the sake of the show, they condense the timeline on all of this. After this fight right here on the dike, where they call in artillery and they basically wipe out, I think they kill about 50 Germans and wound a whole lot more, they actually then turn to what would be their left and kind of pursue the Germans toward the river. And eventually they're forced back by superior German firepower. There was a windmill up there, and it got destroyed by artillery. I think it was artillery, because they didn't want anybody to be able to use it for spotters. So he yells, "There ain't no Poles in the SS." That's technically true in that there were no Polish SS units, but there are stories of individual Polish soldiers serving in the SS. The SS had units that were recruited from various countries that were occupied by the Germans, but the Polish didn't have any specifically Polish SS units. So this all actually takes place over the span of a couple of hours by the time you get to the part where the artillery comes down on Easy Company, which happened much later on after they had advanced, pursued the Germans, and then had to fall back later on during this hours-long battle.
Send lightning a contact report. Boyle! Get up there where you can spot the fall of those rounds. Go.
So at one point, when the artillery starts falling down, Winters makes a call back to headquarters, and he tells them that they've got a bunch of wounded that have been hit, and he's trying to call in support for it. And they ask him how many wounded he's got. And he says, "I've got about 2 baseball teams full of wounded," which baseball team's 9 guys. And they said, they asked him to clarify and didn't know what that meant. And he said, "Hurry up and get off the radio, or we're going to have 3 baseball teams of wounded."
Get Boyle! He's down! Come on, help me!
So this part here, when the guys start getting hit and are wounded, that's several hours after the initial part of the action that takes place there. But by and large, Probably one of the more faithful depictions in terms of the landscape and what it actually looked like. They do such a phenomenal job. When you arrive at the Crossroads, you instantly know that that's what you're looking at is the Crossroads, because it's so recognizable in that scene. But we're going to do some more of these. If you have a particular scene in Band of Brothers or in any other war movie or historical movie of some kind or TV show that you'd like me to do a breakdown of and give a little background into and maybe offer some more information, let me know in the comment section below and we'll try to do that. And if you click on the link that I'll throw up here at the end, you can see our visit to the Crossroads with Mark Lawrence, who portrayed Dukeman, and him visiting the spot where he was actually killed. Thanks for watching.